Hi everyone, this week we will be looking at multiplication for maths. I know that a lot of people have been doing work on their times tables over the last few weeks and probably months when we were at school as well, but we're going to look at other strategies this week using the timetables you have learnt, and we're also going to be looking at division as well. So this is the week video. There will be lesson information in these slides and this video for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. And what you can do is once you've just listened to the part I talk about for Monday, you can stop the video and then do your work. And then when you come back on the Tuesday, it might be a good idea to rewatch what I discuss on Monday to remind yourself. And then you could just skip along to the Tuesday part. So that's the way we're going to structure our maths videos all in one, because a lot of the stuff we learn flows on from the next day, the next day, the next day, and so forth. So it would be good if you could rewatch part of them, but if you don't want to do that, you can just move your cursor along to the day that you need for that day's lesson, and there will be a slide saying the day at the start of the lesson, just so it's easy for you to navigate. This is the lesson for Monday. Let's have a look at our learning intention for today, which is telling us what we're trying to achieve or do by the end of the lesson. So it is, I can use repeated addition and place value to multiply a one-digit number by a multiple of 10. There's a lot of words there, but it's a little bit easier than what it sounds. So what we're doing is we are doing, for example, 3 times 20. Now, when we see 3 times 20, we might think, that's a really hard times table for me to do. I don't know how to do that. I don't know my 20 times tables. But what we're learning to think of is we can use repeated addition to solve this question, because we know that 3 times 20 is actually 3 lots of 20, which could be 20 plus 20 plus 20 to equal 60. Just to start off with, what we're going to do is have a reminder of what repeated addition is. So you can click the YouTube link here, and if you can't click it from the video, but if you want, you can click it from the PDF version of this video, which you can find on our Google Classroom in week 4 maths. So if you have a click of that link and watch the video, it's reminding us what repeated addition is and how we're going to use that to help us with our multiplication today. And after you've watched the video, what I want you to think about is answering that question there. What is 2 times 20 and how would that look as repeated addition? All right, let's work through the sum we had on the previous slide, which was 2 times 20. So 2 times 20 is the same as 20 plus 20. It is 2 groups, so 1, 2 of 20 in each group. And we know that 20 plus 20 is 40. So hopefully you got that answer as well. The next one we're going to practice a couple here together now. We've got 3 times 30. So I want you to think about what would you write as repeated addition for 3 times 30. You can pause your video now and write down your answer and have a think about what you would write for 3 times 30 as repeated addition. So the answer for that is 30, sorry, it's a bit tricky to write, plus 30 plus 30. So 3 lots of 30, and then we can count by 30 to get to the answer. So we've got 30, 60, 90. Another trick to notice here is if you weren't confident to count by 30, 30, 30, what you could do is count by 3s. So 3, 6, 9, and then put your 9 there and add the 0. Same as our 20 plus 20 up the top here. If we weren't confident to add 20 plus 20, we could think it's 2 plus 2 equals 4, and then carry the 0 over. Let's have another go now at 4 times 20. I want you to pause your video and have a write down of your repeated addition that you think the answer is, and then now I'm going to explain it because you will have paused your video. So 4 times 20 is actually, as well as for repeated addition, is 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 equals. Now again, what we could do is count by 20s, or we could count by 2. So let's count by 20s first. 20, 40, 60, 80. And let's check our understanding. We're going to count by 2s as well. 2, 4, 6, 8, writing down our 8 and then putting our 0 there. The last one we're going to practice together now is 2 times 50. So pause your video to write down your answer and then we will go through it together. So 2 times 50 as repeated addition is the same as 50 plus 50. And I think everyone knows this one. 50 plus 50 is 100. Or we could have thought 5 plus 5 is 10 and then adding our 0 on at the end. Good job, everyone. All right, everyone, now it's your turn to have a go by yourself. So what you can do is you can write the answers to these sums in your Google Doc, or you can write them down on a piece of paper and then submit a photo. What I would like to see though is that you write down the repeated addition sum underneath as well as the answer. So just like I was doing on the slides beforehand, I would be seeing in this one 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 5 times equals and then your answer, which I'm not going to give you on this video now. I want to see what you know. So I want to see you write down the repeated addition as well as the answer for these sums here, and you can submit it on your Google Doc when you have completed it. Thank you. This is Tuesday's lesson. All right, our learning intention for today, for Tuesday, is we are learning to link multiplication and division facts and recognize what the division symbol is. So most people already know what the division symbol is, which is good. And I have had a few comments from people saying they find division hard, and it is hard, it is a little bit tricky, but that's okay, we haven't done any work on it yet. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at linking our understanding of our times tables, our multiplication, with division facts as well. Okay, let's have a look at what division is. So division can be expressed using the division symbol in number sentences. And remember, a number sentence is just like, looks like a sum. So a number sentence is 32 divided by 4 equals 8. That is a number sentence. The division symbol means in groups of, shared between, or divided by. So these are other words we sometimes use in questions that talk about division. All right, let's have a look at our first question that we're going to do together. So share 15 among 3. And the question is 15 divided by 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 15 stars that I have here into groups of 3. So I will circle them now. 1, 2, oh sorry, that was a bit wonky. 3, 4, 5. So my answer to 15 divided by 3 equals 5. I have 5 groups and they each have 3 stars in them. So 15 divided by 3 equals 5. One thing I wanted to remind you guys of is having our stars like this in rows and columns is called an array. And an array is a really good way to help us with our division so that we can make sure that we are dividing it up correctly. We can use an array just like I have now to circle the stars into groups of 3 to help me understand that 15 divided by 3 is 5. Let's have a look at another one together. So this time we're sharing 12. We're sharing our 12 stars among 6 people. So 6 people all want the stars and we have to share them, all the 12 stars among 6 people. So I'm going to start circling them to do this. So I've got 1 group, 2 groups, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And how many stars do I have in each group this time? It is 2. So my number sentence down here I'm going to write is 12 divided by 6 equals 2. All right, now it's your turn to have a go by yourself. So you have these questions here to complete. You can complete them on a piece of paper and take a photo and insert it in your Google Doc, or you can just type the answer straight into your Google Doc. It's up to you. You might like to try drawing an array, which you can do with circles or little squares or stars like I did, however you want to help you answer these questions. So to do that, for the first question, for example, 16 divided by 4, you would need to draw 16 dots in 4 equal rows and columns. So that's how you would be drawing an array to do that. And then you can write down, help you circle the rows and columns in your array to help you answer the question of 16 divided by 4. So I want you to have a think about if you are looking at these and you're thinking, oh, these are quite tricky for me, please try and draw an array to help you with your answer. Good luck. If you have finished the ones on the page before and you wanted to do some more, you could complete these ones by yourself. And what I'd ask you to do for this one, getting ready for our next lesson, would be to think about what of these division sums you could link to your multiplication facts you know. So I want you to think about I'll start at the top one. 4 times what would equal 20? What would we times 4 by to get to 20? And the answer to that one would be 5. So 5 times 4 equals 20, which means then the inverse operation for this is 20 divided by 4 equals 5. If you want, you could still be using arrays to help you answer these questions, but I just thought I'd put this one in as a challenge for you to think about if you could link your multiplication facts to answer these division questions, but just remember that this slide is optional. This is Wednesday's lesson. Let's have a look at our learning intention for today. So it is the same one as yesterday, partly. I can relate multiplication and division facts to justify my answers. And I understand what inverse operations mean. So I did mention the word inverse operations yesterday, but I didn't go into detail on it, and I will today. Inverse operations are, let's have a look, multiplication and division are inverse operations. This means that multiplication can be checked by doing divisions, and divisions can be checked by doing multiplications. For example, 3 times 2 equals 6. Is the same as 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So what that's saying is we can use our known multiplication facts to check division facts and vice versa. Let's have a look at the array here, and what we're going to do is we're going to write down 2 multiplication facts that match it and 2 division facts that match it. So we have 12 stars in our array here, 4 in each row and 3 in each column. So our first one is 3 times 4 equals 12, and the reverse of this is 4 times 3 equals 12, which is the same thing. Now we have 12 divided by 3 equals something. So if we were going to put these stars into 3 groups, we would be going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then writing down 12 divided by 3 equals 4. If we are thinking 12 divided by 4 equals something, we are going to put them in circles of 4, of groups of 4. So 1, 2, 3. So 12 divided by 4 equals 3. And you can see that we could have used our multiplication facts here of 3 times 4 equals 12 and 4 times 3 equals 12 to answer our division questions as well. This time I want you to have a practice of another one by yourself. So pause the video now to write down 2 multiplication facts and 2 division facts that would go with this array here. So in this array, and I'll do the answers now. Hopefully you've paused your video. In this array, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars across the top and 3 rows, 3 in the column. So we're going to have 3 times 5 equals 15. I know that, that's my known multiplication fact. Or it could be 5 times 3 equals 15. And the reverse of this then would be 15, or our inverse operation, 15 divided by 3 equals 5, and 15, sorry, that was a terrible 15, 15 divided by 5 equals 3. So hopefully you got that one correct. All right, now it's your turn to do some by yourself. So I have created these arrays here, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. I'd like you to write down 2 multiplication facts and 2 division facts that match these arrays here. This slide here is optional, but what I'm asking you to do is write down the answers to these multiplication questions and then write a matching division fact as well. This is Thursday's lesson. Our learning intention for Thursday is I can select, use and record a range of mental strategies to solve simple multiplication problems. And we're going to be using our cube strategy to solve these problems today, which I know people are familiar with. Watch the YouTube link explaining how to use the cube strategy. Let's practice a question together. So, Andrew is having his friends over for games night. So he decided to prepare snacks and games. He started by making mini sandwiches. If he has 4 friends coming over and he made 3 sandwiches for each of them, how many sandwiches does he make? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over to my cubes here and I'm going to circle the key numbers in this. So we've got 4 friends and 3 sandwiches. Then I'm going to underline the question, and it's easy for us to identify the question because it has a question mark at the end of it. So how many sandwiches did he make? The next part is boxing the maths action words. So the maths action words in this question is how many. So we want to know how many in total. I'm going to think now, what do I need to do to work out the answer to this question? And I can evaluate and eliminate as well. So I'm thinking at the moment, I don't really need all of this information here. I could have just started from this part here. If he has 4 friends coming over, I could still answer the question without all of this information here. And I'm going to think now, how would I get my answer? So if he has 4 friends coming over and he makes 3 sandwiches for each one, how many sandwiches did he make in total? So what strategy, math strategy, could we use to solve this? Multiplication is the quickest one to solve it. So I'm going to do 4 times 3 equals 12. And then underneath that, which I don't have room for, I'm just going to write my answer up here, is I would then write 12 sandwiches. That's a long word, so I'm just going to write 12 sand total. So you want to write something at the end of your question as well, so that it's easy for the marker to see what you have. And sometimes you might have to put something like dollars or centimeters or meters after it, so it's good to write it again just to finalize your question. Now it's your turn to have a go of these questions, and you can use drawings to help you if needed, and make sure you try and use your cube strategy. If you would like to do some more questions, you can, but these ones are optional. This is Friday's lesson. And our learning intention for Friday is the same as yesterday. I can select, use and record a range of mental strategies to solve simple multiplication problems. We are going on with the same thing as what we were doing yesterday. So let's review some of the things we have learned this week. We've learned how to use repeated addition with multiplication. We've learned about division, inverse operations, arrays, and solving word problems using arrays as well. Today we will revise what we have learned this week with a mix of questions. Answer the multiplication and division questions here. So for our multiplication questions here, we're remembering that we can use repeated addition to answer them. For our division questions over here, we're remembering that we can use our known multiplication facts to answer these questions, or we might like to use an array if we need it. Let's use our cube strategy to answer this word problem here. This is another word problem that you can practice your skills with and answer. This one is optional. I just forgot to write the word optional against the independent practice up the top here. So if you have done the 2 slides before and that's all you have time to complete, then that's totally fine. But if you have some extra time and would like to complete this question as well, feel free. These questions are also optional for you to complete. Great work on all your maths this week. I hope you've enjoyed the video and have enjoyed completing your maths. I'm looking forward to marking and having a look at your work. And if you have any feedback or you need any help, just let me know.